Hi students, here I am with a new video of the plant kingdom, that is algae. In the previous video we talked about the classification as well as general introduction of the plant kingdom, and in this video we are going to discuss about the algae. Okay, let's move on to the video. That is, here you can see there are the general properties of algae. The algae are chlorophyll bearing, simple thalloid, autotrophic and largely aquatic, mainly freshwater and marine organisms. That is algae, they are the chlorophyll bearing, simple thalloid, autotrophic and largely aquatic. That is both freshwater as well as the marine organisms. And they usually occurs in the soil, moist soil, as well as on the stones and wood. Also in association with the, they are actually in the symbiotic parasitic associations with the fungi and the animals. That is fungi, in the case of fungi, that is lichens, and the animals, that is sloth bear. They are mainly seen on the moist soils, stones and woods, also in association with the fungi and animals. And the size of this algae usually vary from one species or one size to another. Okay, their size and form is actually highly variable. And some are unicellular forms, some are colonial forms, filamentous forms, marine forms, etc. I have some marine forms have the massive plant bodies. That is, unicellular forms are seen, and the colonial forms in colonies, that is volvox, filamentous forms, that is Ulothrix and the Spirogyra, and the marine forms such as kelps, they form a massive plant body. And the vascular tissue and the mechanical tissues are missing. When we are talking about the classification, when the last video, when we are talking about the classification, where the algae are classified under non-differentiated plant body and no vascular system, no specialized vascular system is absent in the algae. That is, they are the chlorophyll bearing, simple thalloid, autotrophic, marine as well as the freshwater organisms, and seen in the soil, moist stones, wood, as well as in association with the fungi and the animals. Their size and forms are highly variable, and unicellular forms can be seen, colonial forms in the volvox, then filamentous forms in the Ulothrix and Spirogyra, as well as the massive forms, plant bodies can be seen in the marine such as kelps. Vascular tissue, important points, vascular tissue and the mechanical tissues are missing. And here some examples, that is a filamentous branched form of algae. That's a filamentous form, and they are also branched, that is Cladophora. Filamentous non-branched forms are there. They are Spirogyra and Ulothrix. And the unicellular motile is a Chlamydomonas with the use of the flagella, flagellated. They are motile. And unicellular non-motile or non-flagellated, they are the Chlorella. So these are the filamentous branched, that is Cladophora, and filamentous non-branched Spirogyra and Ulothrix. Unicellular motile, that is Chlamydomonas, and the unicellular non-motile, that is Chlorella. And the reproductions in algae, mainly three modes of reproduction, that is vegetative, asexual as well as a sexual method. There is a three mode of reproduction: vegetative, sexual, asexual. Vegetative, as we in previous videos always said, vegetative reproduction is mainly by the formation of the fragmentation, and this individual fragments develops into a thalli and go on to the organisms, right? That is, vegetative reproduction is by the fragmentation, and this each fragment grown into a new plant body or new organisms, and each fragment develop into a thallus, that is, this thallus develop into a new organisms. Okay, they are a thalloid body, right? So the asexual reproduction is by the production of zoospores, which are flagellated. Zoospores means they are the flagellated or the motile spores, which on germination give rise to new plant. So the in the initial part, in the last video, the last slide, I showed some of the general features of the algae, and in that we said that they have the filamentous forms, unicellular forms, then branched forms, and also the massive forms can be seen. And the filamentous branched form is Cladophora, filamentous non-branched form is Spirogyra, Ulothrix, unicellular motile is a Chlamydomonas, and unicellular non-motile is a Chlorella. And Then comes the reproduction. Reproduction, 3 modes of reproduction can be seen. Maybe one mode, maybe all the 3 can be seen. And the reproductions mainly by the fragmentation, sexual as well as asexual method of reproduction or the mode of reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is mainly by the fragmentation, and each fragment develop into a thallus and the new organisms or the new plant. And the asexual reproduction is by the formation of the zoospores. Zoospore, they are the motile or the flagellated spores, and which on germination give rise to the new plant. Next is the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction usually take place through the fusion of the 2 gametes. Okay, sexual reproduction take place by the fusion of the 2 gametes. Then these gametes can be flagellated or non-flagellated, and the similar size or dissimilar size can be seen. That is, gametes can be flagellated and the motile, that is flagellated motile, that is in the case of Ulothrix, or non-flagellated, that is a non-motile gametes can be seen, that is the case of Spirogyra. Such a reproduction is called as isogamous. Here iso means same. Why it is called as isogamous? Because it doesn't matter about the flagellated or non-flagellated. They are checking about the size of the gametes. The size of the gametes are similar whether it is flagellated or the motile, or non-flagellated or the non-motile, but the size is similar. So they are called as isogamous. And the fusion of gametes between the dissimilar size, gametes that is having the not the similar size, they are termed as anisogamous. Aniso means aniso, that is not similar. And the fusion of gamete between entirely different, that is fusion of gamete between one large non-motile female gamete with a small motile male gamete. An example is a Volvox and Fucus, that is termed as oogamous. Oogamous is between large, small, non-motile, motile, female, male. Okay, that is we told that reproduction is by the 3 mode: vegetative, sexual, asexual. Vegetative reproduction by the fragmentation, by the each fragments develop into a thallus or thalli. And the next is asexual reproduction, mainly by the production or the formation of the zoospore, which are the flagellated or the motile spores, which germinate and gives and forms a new plant. Sexual reproduction usually take place through the fusion of the 2 gametes, and the gametes can be similar, dissimilar, flagellated, non-flagellated. Okay, that is gametes that is non-flagellated, and that is in the case of Spirogyra, and the gametes that can be flagellated, that is motile, in the case of Ulothrix. But they are having, the gametes are usually are the same size, they are the similar size, and such a reproduction is called as the isogamous, that is fusion of the gametes that is having similar size is called as isogamous. Iso, similar, gamous, right? Gametes are similar sized gamete. Fusion of the gamete that are dissimilar in size. Example, Eudorina, that is termed as anisogamous. That is, anisogamous means the gametes that are dissimilar, not similar in size. Next is a oogamous. In the case of oogamous, there is a fusion between one large non-motile female, non-motile means static, and the female gamete that fused with a smaller motile male gamete. In the case, this is actually in the case of Volvox and Fucus, and that is termed as oogamous. Next is the classification of the algae. Algae are classified into 3 major classes. That's a Chlorophyceae, that's a green algae, Phaeophyceae, brown algae, Rhodophyceae, red algae. The name indicates chloro, green, Pheo, brown, Rhodo, red. Okay, then we can move on to the Chlorophyceae. Chlorophyceae, they are commonly known as green algae. Why they are called as green algae? Because of the appearance of the green color. Why they are having the green color? Due to the presence of or the dominance of the chlorophyll A and P. Okay, and they may be unicellular, colonial or filamentous forms can be seen. That is, Chlorophyceae, they are commonly known as the green algae. Why they are called green algae? Because they appear as a green grass color. How they are appearing or why they are appearing? What is the content that way they are appearing green in color? Because of the presence of the green pigment, that is a chlorophyll, that is A and B. The dominance of this chlorophyll A and B helps this algae to appear as a grass green color. They may be unicellular, colonial or filamentous forms, and they have a definite chloroplast where these pigments are localized. The pigments are present inside the chloroplast. They are having a definite chloroplast, and this chloroplast is actually discoid or the plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, spiral or ribbon-shaped in different species. According to the species, the shape of the form of this chloroplast, it may be discoid, may be plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, spiral or ribbon shape. That is actually vary according to the species. Next is a pyrenoids. That is a pyrenoid, that is here the storage body is located in the chloroplast. There is a pyrenoid in the chloroplast. There is a storage body located called as pyrenoids, and maybe one or more pyrenoids can be seen in the most of the species. And the starch is the reserved food along with the protein. Starch is the reserved food along with the protein. In some algae, they store the food in the form of the oil droplets. And the green algae, usually they have the rigid cell wall. Okay, this rigid cell wall, and this cell wall is having two layers. They are having the two layers, the outer pectose and the inner cellulose. Okay, that is, they are the pyrenoids. The storage board is located in the chloroplast. That is what we said in the last slide, that is you have the definite chloroplast. They have a different shape according to the species. And the pyrenoids, they are the storage bodies located in the chloroplast. There may be one or more pyrenoids in the most of the species. Starch is a reserve food along with the proteins. Some algae, they store the food in the form of the oil droplets, and the green algae, usually they have the rigid cell wall that is made up of the cellulose, that is inner layer, and the pectose, that is the outer layer. And their vegetative reproduction usually take place by the fragmentation or by the formation of different types of spores. That is, vegetative reproduction is by the fragmentation or by the formation of the spores. And asexual reproduction is by the flagellated zoospore. Here the zoospore is present, okay, and produced in the zoosporangia. Sporangia means a sac-like organ or a sac-like structures that where the zoospores are produced or the spores are produced, and the spores that produced in the zoosporangia are called as the zoospores, and they are the flagellated, that is motile. Sexual reproduction is by the formation of the sex cells, and it can be or it may be isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous. That is, sexual reproduction take place by the formation of the sex cells and the gamete of fusion of the gametes, that is isogamous, anisogamous or the oogamous. And the commonly found green algae are Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulothrix, Spirogyra and Cara. There are usually or the commonly found green algae are the Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulothrix, Spirogyra and Cara. Next is a Phaeophyceae. In the case of Phaeophyceae, they are commonly known as brown algae. Okay, they are commonly known as brown algae, and they are the most common members. Most of them are marine. Okay, and the size and form show great variation among the species. One species in one size, another species in the one size. There is a more chance of the variation in the size and according to the environment, vegetation also. And the unicellular species are absent in this case. So, Phaeophyceae, the Chlorophyceae, unicellular forms are there. Phaeophyceae, unicellular forms are absent. And the Chlorophyceae, they are called green algae. Here it is called a brown algae. And they may be simple branched, filamentous form, that is ectocarpus, to profused branched form kelps, which may grow up to a height of about 100 meters. 100 meters. That is, they may be simple branched filamentous forms, ectocarpus, or profused branch forms. That is a massive plant body, that is a kelp, which can grow up to a height of about 100 meters. and they possess chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. Then they possess the in A and B in the case of Chlorophyceae. Here chlorophyll A, C along with that carotenoids and xanthophylls. Because of the presence of this, they are appearing as a brown color. And they vary in the color from usually from olive green to various shades of brown. That is actually depending upon the amount of xanthophyll or fucoxanthin present. That is what I say. That is A and C chlorophylls are there. So that is why olive green to various shades of brown. The reason why? Because according to the amount of xanthophyll and fucoxanthin determines whether it has to be in the olive green or it has to be shades of brown color. That is depending on the amount of xanthophyll or fucoxanthin present. And food is stored as a complex carbohydrate. There it is starch along with the protein. Here it is laminarin or mannitol. In the case of Phaeophyceae, the food is stored as laminarin or mannitol. It's a complex carbohydrate. And in the Chlorophyceae, that is a cellulose. Cell wall contains the cellulose. Here also cell wall has a cellulosic wall and it is covered by an algin, which is a gelatinous coating. And that is vegetative cells or the cells that is having the cellulosic wall. Along with that, outer to this it is covered by a gelatinous coating called as algin. And in addition to the plastid, the protoplast contain, there in the Chlorophyceae we said plastid is there. Along with the plastid, it contains centrally located vacuoles and nucleus. Okay. In the Phaeophyceae, the chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids, xanthophylls present. Depending on the presence of this xanthophylls, fucoxanthin, they vary the color from olive green to various shades of brown. And the food is stored as a laminarin and mannitol. And the cell wall contains the cellulose along with the gelatinous coating called as algin. In addition to the plastid, the chloroplast contain centrally located vacuole as well as the nucleus. And the plant body is usually attached to substratum by there is a holding structure that is called hold fast. It helps to hold on, and a stem like structure called stalk, the stipe, and a leaf like a photosynthetic organ called as a frond. These are the plant body. Here in the case of Phaeophyceae, plant body is usually attached or it is stick on to the substratum by a root like structure that is called hold fast. Then a stalk like stem like structure called stem. Then the stipe and the leaf like photosynthetic organ called as frond. Vegetative reproduction takes place by the fragmentation. Asexual reproduction by the biflagellated zoospores. Here also zoospore present. There also zoospore present. That is, there means Chlorophyceae. Asexual reproduction by the biflagellated zoospores. Biflagellated means two flagella or double flagella. That is zoospore. The shape of this spore is actually, they are the pear shaped. Pear shaped or pear shaped, anyway you can pronounce, pear shaped, and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. They are having two unequal, they are not in similar, that is unequal laterally attached flagella, and they have the pear shaped. That is called zoospore, biflagellated zoospore. That is asexual reproduction. Sexual vegetative reproduction by the fragmentation, asexual reproduction by the biflagellated zoospores, which are pear shaped with two unequal lateral flagella. Sexual reproduction by the isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous, and the fusion of these gametes usually will take place in the water or within the oogonium. Okay. That is, fusion of gametes usually take place in the water or within the oogonium. And the gametes, these gametes are pyriform. Pyriform means they are also pear shaped and bear two laterally attached flagella. That is, gametes are pyriforms and bear two laterally attached flagella. And the commonly found Phaeophyceae or the brown algae are Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum and Fucus. They are the commonly found brown algae, that is Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum and Fucus. Next is the Rhodophyceae. These Rhodophyceae, they are known as red algae. Why they are called red algae? Because of the presence of phycoerythrin. In addition to the chlorophyll C and D, they having the predominance of the red pigment phycoerythrin in their body. Because of this, they are appearing as a red color. That's a red algae. And majority are marine and are mainly found in the warmer area, and they actually loves to live on the surface of water as well as at the great depth in the ocean. That is, they live in both the presence or absence of the life, but may prefer morely to live in the less light area. Unicellular species are fewer, and unicellular species are absent in Phaeophyceae. Here the unicellular species are fewer, and the red thalli are multicellular, and food is stored as a Floridian starch. Yeah, in the Chlorophyceae, the food is stored as the starch along with the protein, and in the Phaeophyceae, food is stored as a complex carbohydrate, laminarin or mannitol, and here it is stored as a Floridian starch. And the chlorophyll A and D are present, along with that phycoerythrin is there. Then cell wall contains cellulose and polysulfate esters. That is polysulfate esters. That is the cell wall of the Chlorophyceae that contains the cellulose and fructose. And in the Phaeophyceae, cellulose is there, and also gelatinous algin is there. And here the cellulose and the polysulfate esters are there. Red algae reproduce vegetatively by the fragmentation. Okay, by the vegetative reproduction by the fragmentation, asexual reproduction by the non-motile spores. Till now we studied about the motile spores, right? That till now means two other algae, that is a green algae and brown algae. They have zoospores present, that is a flagellated zoospores are present. Here it is non-motile spores. That means the motile zoospores is absent in this case, and the sexual reproduction is by the non-motile gametes, that is a oogamous forms. Sexual reproduction is by the non-motile gamete, that is oogamous. Example of the red algae are Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelerium. These are the commonly found red algae, that is Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelerium. That is, here the chlorophyll A, D and R erythrin is there. Then the cell wall contain the cellulose and the polysulfate ester, and the reproductions, that is vegetative reproduction is by the fragmentation, and the asexual reproduction is by the non-motile spores. Sexual reproduction is by the non-motile gametes, that is oogamous. Commonly found red algae are the Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelerium. Next is the importance of the algae. And here the algae, first and the main important of the algae, they fix the carbon dioxide through the photosynthesis and increases the level of dissolved oxygen. They are the best to fix the carbon dioxide through the photosynthesis and also increases the level of dissolved oxygen. And this algae can be used as a fodder and also as a binding agent. That is, food is a consuming form, so as a humans, and the fodder means you can feed. That is some of the cattle we are feeding, some of the aquatic animals we are giving this algae. And they are the primary producers of energy rich compound and the base of the food cycles of all aquatic forms. Okay, they are the primary food producers of the energy rich compound. And the species of Porphyra, Laminaria and Sargassum forms earthy colored green growth that are used as a food. That is, species of the Porphyra, Laminaria and Sargassum forms a earthy colored green growth used as a food. and these algae are used in the treatment of the sewage plant. Okay, and the agar that is obtained from the Gelidium and Gracilaria are used to grow microbes and in preparation of ice creams and jellies. To prepare the ice creams and jellies as well as to make the agar for the growth of microorganisms, that is agar is using, right. This agar is obtained from the algae Gelidium and Gracilaria, which is a red algae, right. That is agar obtained from the Gelidium and the Gracilaria are used to grow the microbes and in preparations of or preparing ice creams and jellies. Fucus and laminaria are effluent source of the iodine. Laminaria and ascophyllum have antitoxin property. Algae are used as a thickening agent in food, biodiesel, fuel, etc. Alginic corrosive is acquired from fucus and sargassum, which is utilized as emulsions. That is, alginic corrosive is acquired from the fucus and sargassum. They are used as emulsions. Certain marine brown algae, algin and red algae, carrageen, that produces large amount of hydrocolloids. Some of the brown algae and red algae that produces large amount of hydrocolloids. In the case of carrageen, they produces carrageen and carrageen, and that is a water holding hydrocolloids like substance, that is a jelly like substances that is used as a thickener, emulsifier and stabilizers, and which are commonly or mainly used commercially, that is in the food and other products. To food products means the dairy products, meat products, etc., to enhance the texture, flavors and shelf life. Okay, that is some marine brown algae and red algae that produces a large amount of hydrocolloids, that is water holding jelly like substances, that is commercially used as a thickener, emulsifier as well as stabilizers, mainly in the food and other cosmetic products. In the cosmetic products they are also used, and other products like meat, milk products, etc., to enhance the texture, flavor and the shelf life. And the Chlorella and Spirulina are unicellular algae which is rich in proteins, are used as a food supplement even by the space travelers. That is, Chlorella and Spirulina, they are the unicellular algae which are rich in proteins, are used as a food supplements and even by the space travelers. And here is a picture of some of the green, brown, red algae, that is Chlamydomonas, Volvox and Ulothrix. And here the laminaria, fucus, dictyota. Laminaria is a brown algae. You can see that holdfast is there, stem like type is there, and the frond, that is a greeny photosynthetic part is there. And this with the using this holdfast is attached to the substratum. Here in the fucus also holdfast is there, midrib is there, frond is there, air bladder is can see, and this is a greenery part, that is actually for the photosynthetic part, helps in the photosynthesis. It says type, stem like structure. And next is a Porphyra and Polycephonia, that is a red algae. They are also the greeny part is, or the red, not the greeny, actually is a red algae, so it's a reddish brown color, right. So this a frond is there, main axis is there, branches is there in the Polycephonia. This is a pictorial representation of the algae, that is various algae groups, that is a green algae, brown and red algae. I think you can understand my video, and please go through my videos, and have any doubt please let me know through the comments.